Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Agro Aqua Talk. I'm your host, Daryl Watson, and today we're diving into a simple yet incredible effective technique for building healthy soil: chop and drop. In our previous episodes, we talked about building soil with rabbits and also some basic plants that you can use in your agroforestry system to help build up your soil. Also, we went into agroforestry, and today we're going to explore why soil health is absolutely crucial for sustainable farming and how chop and drop can be a game changer. Healthy soil is the foundation of a productive and resilient farm. It's not just dirt, it's a living ecosystem teeming with life. Today we're going to learn about chop and drop, a technique that mimics natural processes to build rich, fertile soil. So what exactly is chop and drop? Simply put, it's the practice of growing plants specifically for their biomass, then cutting them down and leaving them on the soil surface to decompose. Think of it as mimicking the natural cycle of a forest, where fallen leaves and branches decompose, enriching the soil, providing nitrogen, phosphorus, and other micronutrients the plant needs. The key is to use plants that are great at producing biomass and adding nutrients. In previous episodes, we gave you some of those plants that are great biomass producers. Legumes like clover and vetch are excellent because they fix nitrogen from the air. Fast-growing plants like comfrey or buckwheat produce a lot of organic matter quickly. Now let's talk about the incredible benefits of this technique. First, it significantly improves soil organic matter. This increases the soil's ability to hold water, reducing the need for irrigation. And second, the chopped material acts as a natural mulch, suppressing weeds and reducing evaporation. Third, as the plant material decomposes, it feeds the soil microbes and beneficial fungi, creating a thriving ecosystem. And finally, by using chop and drop, we reduce our reliance on external inputs like synthetic fertilizers, making our farms more sustainable. Let's walk through the steps of implementing chop and drop. First, choose the right plants for your climate and soil type. Legumes and fast-growing biomass plants are generally a good choice. Bananas, Mombasa grass, tree lucerne. The best time to cut the plants is before they start flowering, as this is when they have the highest biomass and nutrient content. To do this, use shears, a sickle, or a brush cutter to chop the plants. Then spread the material evenly on the surface. You can leave it as thick a layer or chop it into smaller pieces for faster decomposition. Now let's look at some practical examples. Imagine a vegetable garden where you've interplanted your crops with clover. Once the clover is about to flower, you chop it and lay it around your vegetable plants. This adds nitrogen and mulch. Another example is when comfrey is used around fruit trees. Comfrey has deep roots that bring up nutrients, and its leaves are rich in potassium. Chop the comfrey and use it as a mulch around the base of your trees. You can also use buckwheat as a cover crop. After it flowers, chop it down and incorporate it into the soil. Buckwheat is an excellent source of improving your soil structure and adding organic matter. Let's dive into a specific technique I find incredibly effective: establishing dedicated chop and drop rows. These are essentially rows of biomass producing plants strategically placed alongside your fruit trees and vegetable beds. For instance, imagine you're planting a row of comfrey followed by a row of nitrogen fixing legumes like fava beans or cowpeas. And then your vegetable or fruit tree row. The comfrey, with its deep roots, pulls up valuable nutrients from the subsoil. The legumes, of course, fix atmospheric nitrogen, enriching the soil with this essential element. When these plants reach their optimal growth stage, just before flowering, it's time to prune them. Use shears, a sickle, or a brush cutter to cut them down. Now, instead of carrying the biomass away, simply rake or push it directly over to your fruit or vegetable rows. This method creates a continuous supply of nutrient-rich mulch right where it's needed most. You're effectively creating a living, self-renewing fertilizer factory. Now let's talk about pruning and why it's so beneficial. Pruning isn't just about cutting back overgrown plants. It's a powerful way to stimulate growth through complex chemical reactions. When you prune, you trigger a cascade of hormone responses within the plant and the surrounding plants. First, you reduce the concentration of auxin, a hormone that inhibits lateral bud growth and promotes apical dominance, meaning the plant's tendency to grow taller rather than wider. By removing the apical bud, or the top growth, you reduce auxin levels, which releases the lateral buds from dormancy. At the same time, pruning stimulates the production of cytokinins, hormones that promote cell division and lateral bud development. This results in bushier growth and more branching, leading to increased biomass production. And for us, that's just more fertilizer. Additionally, pruning triggers the plant to produce wound response hormones like jasmonic acid, which helps to activate defense mechanisms and promote healing. This process can also enhance the plant's overall vigor and resilience. The plant also responds to the light change. By removing dense foliage, you increase the amount of light reaching the inner parts of the plant, which promotes photosynthesis and further growth. So when you prune your chop and drop plants, you're not only providing valuable mulch, but you're also stimulating vigorous regrowth, ensuring a continuous supply of biomass. This is a perfect example of how working with natural processes can create a highly productive and sustainable system. As we dive deeper into agroforestry in this channel, we'll be going over more plants that'll be beneficial for your agroforestry system. But just to name a few, we've got banana trees, tree lucerne, Mombasa grass, Mexican sunflower. The list goes on and on. Comfrey. And there's a host of nitrogen fixtures as well that we'll be going over. And also plants that can be used for their biomass, but they're also great for fodder for your animals. This helps you to reduce your inputs for fertilizer and also feed. So stay tuned for those episodes as Agro Aqua Talk dives deeper into agroforestry. So to recap, chop and drop is a simple and effective way to build healthy soil, improve water retention, suppress weeds, and support a thriving soil ecosystem. I encourage you to experiment with chop and drop on your own farm or garden. Start small and see the amazing benefits for yourself. In our next episode, we'll be exploring agroforestry stratification, a technique that maximizes space and productivity by growing plants in layers and vegetables in the understory, just like a forest would. So, stay tuned for that episode and check out our past episodes as well. Thank you for joining me today on Agro Aqua Talk. This is your host, Daryl Watson. Keep growing, keep learning, and see you next time on Agro Aqua Talk.